Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macie Renae, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I hope you all had an amazing weekend. I hope that you were treated like a queen or king on Valentine's Day. My husband took me out to a very nice dinner and we enjoyed each other's company. It was a lot of fun. Let's see what else is going on with me. I also celebrated with Galentine's Day on Tuesday at the Kentucky Castle. If you've never been to the Kentucky Castle in Versailles, Kentucky, yes, we call it Versailles instead of Versailles. It's just a Kentucky thing. Actually, if you're a fan of Bravo's hit series Vanderpump Rules, which I'm obsessed with, by the way, it's where Brittany and Jax got married. So Tuesday, they were having a special 4-course dinner, and a representative from Veuve Clicquot, Champagne, France, to talk about Yellow Label and some of their other products. And you guys, it was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I would do it all the time if I could. I felt so high vibe. Oh my gosh, it was just so much fun. I have never had Veuve Clicquot. It sounds so fancy. But, I've had other types of champagnes, but that is not one that I've had. It's a little bit, depending on what you like to drink, it's about $50 to $60 for a Yellow Label bottle of champagne. And so I had never had that kind. And they were offering a VIP event too, where you could go and you could get educated on how it's made and also try their reserved wines. And I felt so special, you guys, because there was a rep there from Kentucky, and he has been working for Veuve Clicquot for 16 years, but as a rep in the U.S., and he had told us, I have traveled to Champagne, France 3 times for this company, and I represent them all over the U.S., but I've never had the opportunity to try the reserved wines that you all are trying tonight. And the reason for that is because Veuve Clicquot has a very high standard for the quality of their champagne. And when they don't have a good season for harvesting the grapes, they have to rely on their reserved wines, because Veuve Clicquot is it's a blend of multiple reserved wines to get the flavor and the quality. So when nature is not playing fair, they basically have to get into their reserved wines and figure out, okay, a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this one and a little bit of this one creates the standard for Yellow Label. So most people in the world never get a chance to try the reserved wines. And it was this very small VIP group. And so this rep from the US was like, I'm excited because I finally get to try this after 16 years of never being able to have this experience. So be really excited about what you're having tonight. And not only that, but an actual representative from Veuve Clicquot was there at the Kentucky Castle. And so she, her native language is obviously French. And she had this French accent, going very slowly, trying to convey it in English. And it was just the most amazing experience. Like, I cannot even tell you how high my energy was learning about all of this. I also learned that I have very good senses and that I can name the different, the qualities of the wine, not the quality, but like the flavors. Like, I would try one of the reserved wines and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I definitely smell and taste caramel in this. It's nutty. It's this, it's that. And she was like, oh my gosh, you have a nose and, taste for the different flavor profiles. That's what I was trying to say, flavor profiles. And I felt so like top notch. It was wonderful. And then we were in the best of company at our table. we met these amazing people from all the way from California who were in Kentucky buying a horse. And it was just, oh my gosh, everything about the entire night was just phenomenal. And I was on such a high. And I left there with my own bottle of vintage rosé Veuve Clicquot, and it was $100 bottle. I have never, you guys, I don't think I've paid ever more than $25 for a bottle of any sort of alcohol, but the vibe was so high. And I tell you guys, when you're envisioning something, I can't remember what episode I talked about this on the podcast, but when you're envisioning something, you need to get your body into that experience way before it happens. So when I had shared with you guys episodes back about when I wanted to earn my Lexus through the relationship marketing company that I was in, I really had to believe that I had it 6 full months before I had it. And so in order to do that, I bought the outfit that I was going to wear when I picked up the Lexus at the dealership. I would look at at Car Gurus every single night and be like, okay, I envision myself in this white Lexus with tan leather interior. It has not only the seated warmers, but it has the butt coolers as well. And I just really got myself there. And every single time I would sit in my Honda, I would pretend it was the Lexus. And, I had pictures cut out of what I wanted. I would look at it every single day. Then I went to, what is that store called? I can't even think. Altered State, and bought a cross car charm for the rear view mirror and put it in a special spot for, this is for my Lexus. I'm not going to use this until I earn the Lexus. Same thing with a keychain. I had a special keychain that I wouldn't put on my keys until it was going to go on my Lexus. And so I was putting my body in the experience way before it happened. And when you become an energetic match and you believe you have it way before you do, you attract that. You end up leveling up to that vibration of the very thing that you want, and it becomes yours. And then you're just kind of like, oh my God, I can't even believe this happened. And in a way, not even super excited because you've believed it in your body to be true for so long that it doesn't seem surprising when it happens at all. It's like, of course this was happening. I wanted this for X amount of time, and I believed that I had it way before I actually did. And so I did that with a Veuve Clicquot vintage rosé $100 bottle of champagne. And I told my grandma, I was like, I can't even believe it, but my highest self is going to buy this $100 bottle because I want to pop it open when I hit 6 figures in my coaching business. And I've even been thinking about it recently. I'm like, do I want to wait until I hit 6 figures, or do I want to wait until I hit my $10,000 cash month? Like, that is going to be such a huge milestone for me too, that I might end up popping it open. I might switch it from, they also had like this, I think it's called Grand Dame or whatever it is, but it's one of their most expensive bottles. It was like $170 for that bottle. So I'm kind of like, maybe I'll pop open the $100 bottle of vintage rosé when I hit a 10K month, and I will pop open a bottle, like I'll go buy a bottle of the Grand Dame, or however you say it. She was so fancy with her French accent, for $170 when I hit 100K in my business. I don't know, but it made me so excited. And I put the bottle on my kitchen countertop. So every single time I walk into my kitchen, I see this $100 bottle of vintage rosé, and my whole body just is so excited. Like I can visualize popping that bottle open with my closest of friends that have like supported me in the journey. Like maybe even opening it with clients of mine that have supported me in my journey. It's just, I'm so excited for that moment, and I can't wait to come back on this podcast and be like, guys, I was able to open the $100 bottle of vintage rosé because I hit my goal of 10K a month, or whatever I decide for it to be. So that is super, super exciting for me, and I literally can't wait to celebrate. So gosh, that took a lot more time than I thought to just kind of share that experience. But I hope you guys had an amazing week this week. Mine was definitely phenomenal, and I am just so full of gratitude. I also celebrated, I think today I'm on day 33 of no sweet tea. So that's been awesome, which also means 33 days of zero caffeine in my system. Before giving up my sweet tea, I hadn't really had a lot of caffeine in about probably 2 years, but sweet tea was that minimal amount of caffeine that I would get, from Chick-fil-A. And of course I was drinking it every day. So now I'm 33 days without it. And I was telling someone, I read a book called The Urban Monk a few years ago. And I don't even think I finished the book, but I got through like the first few chapters because I remember it being such a complex thing for me to like grasp, that he said, a lot of people borrow energy. Like we feel like we don't even have enough energy within ourselves to do things. So we borrow it from different sources like caffeine. And we convince ourselves that we need the caffeine in order to survive, and we need it in order to have energy. And for, monks and everything, they're like, don't do that. You're most pure and connected and in tune with your intuition when you're not using these outside things. And you guys, of course, when I read that a few years ago, I kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, yeah, right. I need all the coffee in the world to survive. I need all the sweet tea in the world to survive. But I tell you what, 33 days in of no sweet tea, no caffeine, indefinitely is like changed my senses. I can't even put it into words. Like I feel like I see my life experiences so differently. I hear things differently. I smell things differently. I taste things differently. I feel like I have this heightened state of awareness, these deeper spiritual experiences. Like it's very interesting. It's stuff that I've read in books for forever, but never felt like I was strong enough to do. And now that I'm, 33 days in, I'm like, oh my God, I've been missing it. And also, you all, I've been having to really lean into my feelings and my emotions because, like I said, I was using sweet tea as a buffer for sure. I mean, trust me, I'm not talking to the people that can go and enjoy a sweet tea at lunch with their girlfriends, and maybe drink it every now and then, or even drink one glass a day every day. Like, that's different. What I'm talking about is the fact that I definitely had an addiction to it because I was using it to be outside of my body and without realizing it. Like I didn't understand it until I went to my therapist, and it said, that whole note that I told you guys about. Patient states that she notices increased nausea and stomach pain when drinking sweet tea, ... chooses to drink it anyways. That statement changed everything within me because I, for the first time I really observed, I'm self-sabotaging. I am literally complaining about the state of my body, about the pain in my body, about how my body is screaming that this is not helping me, and I'm complaining and I'm complaining and I'm complaining, and yet I'm not doing anything about it. I'm choosing to continue going down this path, knowing that it doesn't make me feel good, knowing that it's not doing me any good, and yet waiting to become ill before I make the change, like waiting until a doctor diagnoses me with something, and then when that feels catastrophic, that would be the cure to changing myself. And it's finally like, oh my God, I can't even believe that. Now, most people are doing that in their life all the time. I hear my clients say, I know what I need to be doing and I'm not doing it. And I was doing the same thing. I know what I need to be doing and I'm not doing it. And so we create like these buffers and this sabotaging. And I just know, like, here's my thing. As a coach, as someone who's leading other people, I understand, trust me, I hold space for my clients and I tell them, give yourself grace. If you know what you need to be doing and you're not doing it, stop beating yourself up about it, recognize that you're doing it, and then explore deeper into that why you're doing it. But give yourself some grace along the way. But as their coach, I can also give myself grace, okay? But if I expect for them to do what's hard, and I expect for my clients to do what's going to change them to get to the next level of their life, to stop being a victim, to stop self-sabotaging, to stop doing the things that are not serving them, then I have to be a woman of my word, and I need to be in integrity, and I need to be doing the very things that feel very hard, because they need to see that it is possible. Because in their mind, when they know that there's something that they need to be doing and they're not doing it, they feel like it's impossible. So when I go first, when I lead the way, when I'm in integrity, and when I'm doing what's hard, I'm proving to myself I can do hard things and survive, right? When my brain is telling me there's no way you'd ever be able to go without caffeine, there's no way you'd ever be able to go without sweet tea every day, there's no way you'd be able to go without your phone for, an entire day. But I can, and we can. And I have to be the example of that way before my clients will start to embody that within their own life. If I'm telling them everything that they need to do to change their life, but then I'm still doing all of my old habits and behaviors, it's going to be very hard for them to trust within themselves that they can do hard things. So I go first, and I can tell you my experience. I hope anybody listening to this, that if this is a journey that you're on, or is something that you want to do and it feels impossible right now, that you can do it. It takes a lot of work, but you guys, I'm feeling things at a whole different level, because where I used to buffer through stuff, whether it be on my phone for 8 hours, or drinking a sweet tea, or having the caffeine, which makes you feel really good. Now I don't have that. So now when emotions come up, more than ever, I'm having to sit with them and face them. And I tell you guys all the time, feeling your feelings is important. The reason that people buffer is because they think that it's not okay to feel their feelings. They're like, nope, can't be feeling my feelings. That's not going to work. That sucks. That feels bad. No way. But that's the point of life. Life is about experiencing our humanness. And a part of our humanness is being able to sit with those moments of discomfort and pain and heartache and grief, and, not wallowing in it, but really allowing it to be there so that you can powerfully take the steps to overcome it. But what happens is we feel like something has gone majorly wrong. Like the moment we feel sad for more than 3 or 4 days, we're immediately labeling ourselves as, I'm depressed, I'm never going to get out of this, this is a dark cloud, this is a dark hole, it's never going to get better. And whatever your energy focuses on is what will grow. So if your mind is looking at how depressed you are and how upset you are and how sad you are and how it's never going to get better, then that's the bulk of where your energy is focusing. So it's going to focus on the next thing that makes you feel bad and depressed and bad and depressed. And so we keep ourselves in cycles, because at the same time we're resisting it. It's like we're telling ourselves it's not good to be depressed for this long. It's not good to be sad for this long. It's not okay for me to feel this way for this long. And when we're resisting it, it's focusing on it, right? And so instead of just feeling it and being like, it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to have this humanness inside my body, it's okay for my body to communicate that something feels off and that something is making me upset, and maybe I need to look at what that is. Instead of doing that, we start to shame ourselves, and then we put ourselves in a deeper grave of, depression and anxiety and sadness. And then, because life does go on and we have these roles and responsibilities, we have this mentality of, well, I've got to put on my big girl panties and handle it, and I just need to do the next thing to get me through it. And so you insert buffers, and you insert this thinking that you have to have it all together all the time, and that you take care of everybody but nobody takes care of you. And then that creates the victim cycles. Okay, so then it becomes layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of things that keep us in that low energetic vibration, that sadness, that grief, that fear, that despair, that, it's never going to get better. This is going to be my life the next 40 years and I don't know what to do. And we stay there for so long that we feel like we can't get out of it. And this is why I love the work of life coaching, because if any of this in this podcast is resonating with you, it's about learning how to really lean in and feel your feelings and know and be given the strategies to come out of that with new ways of thinking, new mindset strategies, new energetic shifts, support systems, love, someone that's going to pull you out of it, who's been there, done that. And again, this is why it's so important for me to practice what I'm preaching, because how can I hold that space for my clients in the midst of their darkness and their challenges if I'm not already doing the work myself? It's not happening. And I think that's why people sometimes have this imposter syndrome of, I don't know if I can help anybody. I don't know if I can do this, because sometimes they're not doing the work. Sometimes they aren't. And, I have to recognize in me the moments when I'm not doing it, forgive myself, give myself grace, and say, you know what, Macie, you're strong enough to do it. You're strong enough to do it, and you're strong enough to lead women who are ready to do it themselves. And that's my mission in the world. I will continue on with this journey, because this means a lot to me. Yesterday, I had this epiphany. I'm like, I think I could totally call myself the no buffer zone coach. Like the coach that totally encourages people to lean in all the way to their feelings, to feel them, and learn the mindset strategies and the energetic strategies to shift themselves to get to their next level, whatever that is. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, this is what Becoming Her, my mastermind, is all about. And I so look forward to the day where there are hundreds, if not thousands, of women in that program. Right now, it's a smaller group. I think we have 6 or 7 women in there now. And I love that. But I'm so looking forward to the day that just continues to grow, and I am able to just touch many more women on a spiritual level, on a mindset level, on a life coaching level. And so really quickly, if you don't know what this Becoming Her mastermind is, I'll go into it. But I train every Sunday on a coaching topic. So just like what you're hearing on the podcast, I will pick a topic and I will go in on the Facebook group and I'll train on Sundays. And so women can comment on the Facebook Lives, they can ask questions, they can insert their specific scenarios, and I will coach them live. And then on Wednesdays, we do a meetup for them to do Q&A. So they come up to the call, where they show up to the Zoom call. It's a conference style call, and they'll say this is what I've got going on this week, or based on what you trained Sunday, this is what I'm confused about, and I have trouble with this, and this specific scenario happened in my life, and this is how I handled it. How could I have done that differently? It's just their chance to show up and be very powerfully coached. And so we have a group discussion. Whoever gets on the call, not everybody has to get on. It's for them. I tell them, show up if you want to be coached. Wednesday is your night to show up and get coached on whatever it is that your heart desires. And then, in addition to having that support every single week, when I launch a program, for instance, my money course that just launched, which is about energetics and money, they get access to that. So if they want to participate, they can. And then for that time being, what we've decided is I temporarily pause the Sunday, Wednesday trainings so that they can focus their full energy on a new program that they've maybe never been exposed to. And so they get access to my money course. They get access to Inner Mastery. They get access to anytime I do Rewired. So it's really an amazing thing, and I think it's going to continue to grow, and I'm excited to see how the women grow when they have a life coach that's going to be there with them every single week for the rest of their life. So when you invest in Becoming Her, you're in the program forever. You have access to me forever. You have someone holding your hand forever, because this is a lifetime of work. And I don't mean that to sound like, oh my God, it's going to take a lifetime. I mean, we are always growing, evolving, and changing. We are always aiming for the next level of our life, or at least we should be. That's a part of a human need, is that we're growing and evolving and changing. So if you're in a state where you're I don't know if things are ever going to change for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to achieve my dreams. I don't know if we'll ever have that. I don't know, if we'll ever get out of our money or out of our debt, if we'll ever, if I'll ever be able to feel like I can take care of me and give myself what I need and not feel, like I'm stuck in my life. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to quit this job that I absolutely hate and do something that I absolutely love. If you're battling anything in your mind, body, and soul, Becoming Her, the mastermind, where you have lifetime access support, and other women going through it too, that are going to lift you up, and me that, that I'm there to coach you and pull you through some of your darkest times. I'm there to celebrate your happiest weeks, and I'm there to support you during your lowest of lows. If that's something that you're interested in, Becoming Her welcomes you 24/7. Enrollment is always open. MacieRenae.com. You click Ways to Work Together, Becoming Her the Mastermind. There's a drop-down box. There are payment plan options. You can pay in full and you're good to go, and you never pay anything ever, ever, ever again. Or you can do, there's 2 other payment plan options in there. And again, with the lowest payment plan option, it's $333 a month right now, 9 payments. And as soon as that's paid off, you have access to me for a lifetime. It's like crazy good if you're looking for coaching and you need it in an affordable way. Like knowing that you get access to everything that I have to offer. You have access to me for a lifetime in a group setting. I don't think it gets any better than that. But guys, I want to encourage you to feel your feelings, because we as people, like a lot of times we are running. We think that it's bad to feel. We think that it's bad to experience emotion, negative emotion at that. And it's not. It is not a bad thing to experience negative emotion. It's always there to teach you something. It is always there to teach you something. Usually that negative emotion, if it's grief, it's teaching you the depths of your love for someone, okay? It teaches you how much you love them, or it teaches you about like the preciousness of time and maybe what you could have done better or what you can do better moving forward with other people that you still have in your life, okay? When it comes to really difficult situations in your life, that negative emotion that comes with it is usually there to teach you what you need to do next. Do you need to create boundaries? Do you need to work on your mindset? Do you need to stop playing the victim? Our negative emotion is always the biggest storyteller. But a lot of times we don't even get to know why it's truly there because we insert a buffer. Or we have this mentality that I need to put on my big girl panties and I need to handle it. And I don't need to look at that. I just need to get over it. I need to get over it because life goes on. But the thing about it is that negative emotion never really goes away. It gets stored in your subconscious. And whatever is stored in your subconscious is what you do every single day subconsciously, and that predicts your future. So whatever you're storing away in your subconscious is going to predict the future that you're creating, because you make decisions from your subconscious if you're not aware of it. Did you know that out of like our brain, 95% of our brain functions from the subconscious? Did you know that? So that means the things that you're burying deep within, the things you don't want to look at, the negative emotions, all the things you don't want to feel, all the things you store away, all the things that are way stressful, all the negative beliefs that you have, everything that you were told in childhood, everything that someone told you 10 years ago, that stupid comment that someone made that still makes you mad when you think about them, all of that is subconscious. And 95% of your brain operates from your subconscious, okay? Only 5% of your brain operates from conscious thinking. And conscious thinking is what creates new habits and new patterns and new choices and new thoughts. So you have 95% of your old self, right? Your current self determining what kind of future you get to have 5 years from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. This is why it's so hard to stick to a diet, to stick with working out at the gym, to follow through with New Year's resolutions, to follow through with commitments that you made when it felt really inspiring in the moment, because 95% of your brain is working against you all the time. This is why having a life coach is so freaking powerful, because they hear all the subconscious chatter and they're witnessing it in you. And they're like, okay, that's enough of the 95%. Let's turn on the 5%. The 5% is what's going to change your life. So every time I don't want to go to the gym every day and I think I'm going to lay on the couch because today that feels comfortable, that's my 95% of my brain. That's what it chooses to do. That's what's most comfortable. That's what it's always done. But the 5% of my brain is the part of my brain that says, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if we went to the gym and started reaching our goals? Okay. And so I'm operating from my 5% when I make this decision to grab my keys and head out the door and go to the gym. That's my 5%. Because my 95% wants to sit on the couch and eat Girl Scout cookies. Okay. So with each moment, when I'm choosing to do something new, like it could be even like the podcast, right? Initially, it was really hard for me to commit to even doing the podcast weekly. There was a time in my brain where I thought maybe I'll just do the podcast as I feel like it because that would be easier, right? That was the 95%. It's the 5%, my conscious brain making the decision like, no, every single week you need to have a podcast released, right? So my 5% of my brain is choosing to create a new thing. Now, here's what's exciting. Let's go to my sweet tea example. 95% of my subconscious brain told me I needed a sweet tea every single day, so I did that. It was autopilot. Man, I would end up in a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and order a large sweet tea, no ice, no problem. And when I was making the decision to quit, those first 3 to 5 days were the hardest. My 95% wanted that sweet tea more than anything. Oh my gosh, so hard, so hard. But my 5%, right, the part of me and the part of our brain that creates new habits, new routines, new structures, new thinking, new life, is the part of my brain that keeps me from going back to the 95% of drinking the sweet tea. So every single day, I'm sharpening the 5%. I'm choosing consciously that I don't need the caffeine, that I don't need the sweet tea. And I'm using the 5% of my brain. So what happens, this really cool thing happens. The more that you operate in your conscious brain, the 5%, when you've done it enough, it becomes the 95%. Is your mind blown yet? That's how you get and stick to something. So 33 days in, I have practiced this so much in my 5%. I'm honestly probably still operating in the 5% because I would still like to go and get a large sweet tea. When I feel stressed, immediately, you guys, when I feel stressed, I want to go get sweet tea. That's what my body says. Because 95% of my subconscious is working against me. 95% of me says you would feel better if you went back to sweet tea. 95%. So I have to powerfully make my 5% of my brain say, no, that's not your highest self. That is not you, quote unquote, becoming her. You can't do that. And with every day that goes by, you know, as I get to 60 days, as I get to 90 days, as I get to 365 days, that 5% of consciousness that I've chosen to use to keep myself out of self-sabotage then becomes my 95%. So then it becomes ingrained in my system that we just don't do sweet tea anymore. We just don't do caffeine anymore. We don't do that for stress. We don't do that for coping. We don't do that for anxiety. We don't do that for depression. We feel our feelings and we don't need it. So every day that I choose with my 5% not to do it, I am training my 95% to not want it. Does this make sense? I hope it's making sense. And this is with anything. This is a part of what I'm going to be teaching the women in my money program. If money is something that you struggle with and you have had all of these negative thoughts around money, I'm never going to have money, I'm never able to save money, you know, everything's expensive, they charge too much, I'm never going to be able to afford that, we're never going to be able to have that, we're going to be in the same place for the rest of our life, I'm always in debt, there's always more bills, the blah, 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 blah. That's your 95%. And is it serving you? No, because what do you probably realize from year after year after year? You're probably in the same money position year after year after year. Why is that? because whatever you focus on is what continues to be. It's whatever you focus on grows. So now if you're having bad money thoughts, that's your 95%, right? Whatever you're thinking is what you're energetically attracting. So 95% of your mind is attracting more back. So now you have 95% of your mind focused on lack. And because 95% of your mind is focused on lack, you energetically attract more lack. So what does it take in order to switch that around? 5% of your brain has to do new thinking. 5% of your brain has to be open to new ideas. 5% of your brain needs to start practicing new things around money. 5% of your brain has to be energetically connected to the possibility and teachings of money. Okay? If you don't hit that 5%, you're going to be swimming in the 95% of all your current thoughts, all your current beliefs, and you're going to get the same result for as long as you believe that. That's why I'm so excited to teach this money course. We were supposed to start on last Monday. However, although I paid for postage for all of the women to have their books by Monday, for some reason the post office has not been getting them their stuff. And so several of the women still don't have their coaching workbooks, which is a little bit frustrating, but we're going with it. I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but I'm going to go with that. So if this is something that's resonating with you, the next time my money program launches, which should be in, I think, April, I'm going to do a second launch. Just get your mind right for that if this is something that you're struggling with, okay? So it's the same thing with anything. With anything in your life, if you're operating in that 95%, you're going to be stuck exactly where you are for a year from now, for 2 years from now, for 5 years from now, from 10 years from now. So look at your life right now. And if you had to live the last week of your life the same way over and over again for the next 5 or 10 years, would you be happy? And if the answer is no, no matter what the area it is, like I'm not happy with my physique, I'm not happy with my eating habits, I'm not happy with the fact that I'm drowning my emotions, I'm not happy with this, mental state that I'm in, I'm not happy with the fact that I don't have boundaries, I'm not happy with blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, you have to use your 5% to change it. And every day that you're not choosing consciously the 5%, your subconscious is working for you on autopilot without you even having to think about it. So your subconscious is running your life all the time, all the time, all the time. Okay? I know that I'm so passionate about this, you guys, because before learning all of this, I was such a victim to my circumstances. I just didn't understand how things weren't changing. I didn't understand why I felt so bad. I didn't understand why I would get in dark, deep depression. I didn't understand why I had, horrific anxiety that was debilitating. I didn't understand. And it was miserable. It was like, oh my God, I keep experiencing the same things over and over again. What else can go wrong? Oh my God, which you should never ask, because energetically you become a match for something else going wrong. Don't ever ask that. It would be like, oh, bad things always happen in threes. Boom, the third thing would go down. It was like, oh my God, see? We talked about this early on in the podcast. You are always manifesting. You are always attracting things into your life. You're always doing it. Whether you like it or not, your subconscious is a program in your brain and it controls everything until you choose otherwise. So if you want something different, you have to make different choices. And personal development has completely changed my life. I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So some people are listening to this podcast and maybe they've had tons of personal development and they're like shaking their head like, yes, praise Jesus, raise your hand. Yes, church, she's taking us to church. Other people might be listening to this podcast and being like, I don't believe a thing you're saying. Shut up. And then other people might be like, my mind is blown. Tell me more, And I understand that because when I was first learning this, I was like, wait, is this true? And then I went through a period of I started practicing little things and seeing my life change significantly. And then when my life did a 360, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely there's something to this. This is why there are people in the world that have it all, do it all, experience life through a happy lens. And not only, they're not happy all the time. I want to be very clear of that. They understand how to navigate their emotions. They understand emotional intelligence. Okay? They understand that having negative emotion is okay. and they understand that they're going to make it through it on the other side. They allow themselves to feel what they're feeling, that negative emotion, and for it to teach them something. And then once they learn what it is their system is trying to tell them, then they use that 5% of their conscious mind to figure out what needs to happen, what needs to shift, what needs to change. And a lot of times it comes down to our mindset. Your mindset controls everything. Your mindset is your powerhouse, okay? It is the factor that creates everything in your life. So are you aware that your subconscious is controlling everything in your life? You need to look at it. You need to open up those wounds. You need to be peeled like an onion if you are not 110% satisfied and happy with your life. If you're not in love with your life, like even if there's just one thing that needs to change, right? You have the power to do that with your mind. So if this podcast resonates with you, what I want to do is welcome you into my Becoming Her Mastermind. I think that is the best bang for your buck, truly, if this is work that you want to do, because we talk about this stuff specifically to your scenario every single week. You get access to the money program. You get access to Inner Mastery, which is going to be launching soon as well. You get access to everything. You have access to me for a lifetime, okay? For a lifetime. You get access to a community of women for a lifetime who are in this journey with you. So I want to welcome you to Becoming Her. It's open all the time. Whether you listen to this podcast this Monday when it launches, or you listen to this next year because you're late to the party, the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast party. You know, it doesn't matter if you listen to it now in 2020 or it's, 2025. Becoming Her is always open to you. That is my commitment. That is my commitment. Becoming Her is always open, and it's available for you to be in a personal development journey for the rest of your life, to have me as a coach for the rest of your life, to be teaching you and guiding you just like I do in this podcast for life, okay? Face to face with your specific scenarios, teaching you how to get to less buffering, less numbing, less running, less. We want less of that. And we want more living, more excitement, more joy, more happiness, more money, more everything. Okay? That's what we want. So I love you all so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again next week. If you have questions, let me know. You can reach out to me on social media. I always put it in the show notes. You can join Becoming Her by going to my website. I always put that in the show notes. Let's see, what else do you need to know? I mean, I think that's pretty much it. But if you have questions, reach out to me. If you love this podcast and you want to introduce yourself because maybe you're a stranger listening and we've never had a conversation, let me know. Reach out to me on social media. I love to make that connection. I love when people say, oh my gosh, I just found your podcast. Thank you for the messages. I love that. I love reading reviews on my podcast. I appreciate you guys supporting my podcast so much. I really, really do. I can't remember if I shared the milestone, but just recently the podcast within the 30 days, I don't even know if this is good or bad, but it had over 1,000 and something. It might have even been like 1,100, 1,200. I don't even remember. I was just so excited. I opened up the email and I'm like, oh my God, over 1,000 downloads in 30 days. I don't even know if it's good or bad. I just know that I'm celebrating it for myself because that means that many people have listened to messages in the last 30 days. And I was celebrating the fact that the last time I looked at how many people were listening in other countries, it was 12 countries. And now I think we're up to 29 countries that this podcast has reached. And I celebrated the fact that I signed a client that I had never, ever met from this podcast. She was listening and loved it, and she was like, I want to join Becoming Her. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So I'm so glad that the messages are reaching you. I'm so glad they're inspiring you. I'm so glad that they're helping you grow and evolve and change. And if this is work that you would like to do much more in depth for a lifetime together, let's lock arms and join the Becoming Her Mastermind. I love you guys. Bye.